Hi, I'm Walter.
Hey, I'm Miles.
And we're here to talk about my personal Honda S2000 2002, which I've owned for over 15 years.
Wow, has it been that long already?
It has.
That's crazy.
And Miles, it has more than 150,000 miles.
Wow, that's a testament to the build quality and engineering of these cars that it's still running so strong. Honda released the S2000 back in 1999 as part of their 50th anniversary celebration for the company, and they had this car in production for over 10 years until 2009, which is a pretty long party for a car. But
I'll say.
I'm not complaining. And in fact, when the car went out of production, so many people wanted a replacement and there wasn't one. There was a lot of disappointment, but I do hear a rumor that for the 70th anniversary, in a couple of years' time, Honda are going to be releasing a brand new S2000. It's rumored to have over 300 horsepower, so I can't wait to see that.
When I was considering buying this car, Miles,
yeah.
I compared it to a few other cars. I compared it to the Porsche Boxster,
okay,
the Audi TT, and the Nissan 350Z.
Right.
And I really liked the Porsche Boxster, but believe it or not, this car was actually faster than the Porsche Boxster back then. Yeah. And then the Audi TT just didn't seem to have the horsepower that this car had.
Okay.
And then the 350Z was really, really close to this in terms of performance and power. But this car just won my heart with the 9,000 RPM. And this car is actually built in Japan. And the build quality, in my opinion, between cars that are built in Japan versus other places of the world, I think the cars that are built in Japan are much better.
Absolutely, absolutely, I would agree with that.
So here's the powerhouse of the Honda S2000. It's a 1997 cc 4-cylinder double overhead cam VTEC engine. The VTEC acts almost like a turbo in that it gives additional boost when you kick it up above 6,000 RPM. All right, this is the trunk space, and you can see that it has this nice deep well in here. And it's good because if you go to the airport to pick up your wife or your loved one, and all of a sudden you realize that they have quite a big bag like this, you might go, oh dear, it might not fit. Well, let's see if it does. With a little prodding, you can see that for those who have a much more compact way of travel, like me, this fits in with no problem, and there's plenty of other space to fit your laptop or whatever other essentials. All car manufacturers perform extensive tests on their cars. They perform cold and hot climate tests, they perform water tests to make sure the car doesn't leak, and they also perform, of course, crash tests. We decided to come up with our own test. It's called the Doberman test. This also is a 2004 Doberman Pinscher. Let's see if he fits in the car. Come on, Maximus. Does he fit? I don't think so. I really like the interior. It's a well-executed design without any superfluous or overdone features. You'll notice there is no GPS. Who needs a navigation in a sports car? It's not where you're going, but how you get there that counts. The dashboard is a type of padded soft touch that comes off as a much nicer execution than hard plastic interiors. All of the controls are focused around the steering wheel, so you do not need to take your hands off the wheel to operate them. The right side has controls for the cabin air, and the buttons and knobs are really durable. On the left side, you have your buttons for operating the stereo, which just frankly isn't very good. And then of course you have the most important, that red start button. Lowering the top is simple. In each corner you have a latch. Push in the button, pull down the latch, and push it back up into place. Do it for both sides. Next, pull up on your emergency brake and pull on the roof button. The top goes down or back up in about 5 seconds. All right, here we are inside the Honda S2000, so we're going to take a little drive now.
All right, let's go.
And Miles, as you know, the car revs to 9,000 RPM, and the car has a perfect 50-50 weight distribution.
Yeah, it feels really good. I mean, if you're low to the ground, you know, it feels solid. You can feel the little bumps, but it's not uncomfortable.
Yeah, and the seats are very well supportive and very comfortable, I would say.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, and just that power. I mean, it's like instant delivery. It's amazing for a naturally aspirated engine.
Now, one thing that you need to get used to if you're driving this car for the first time is when to shift. I'm only currently at 5,000, but most people would think that it's time to shift. But I'm now at 7,000 and now I'm just finally shifting. You get pretty good feedback from the steering wheel, and the steering itself is really sharp. You can see as I cut back and forth, 8,000 RPM. And you can really see how quickly the car responds. You have to be aggressive with the throttle and keep the RPMs up in order for you to get any significant performance from this car. But when you do, boy, is it fun. And the brakes are excellent on this car as well. I'm going to give a quick stop here, simulating an emergency stop. And you can tell that the anti-lock brakes kicked in.
Yeah.
And very stable and responsive.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one of the things about this car and cars like this. They're so small and compact that you just assume there's going to be no space inside. But I'm 6 foot, you're 6'3", and I've got plenty of headroom here, and so do you.
As well as I do.
Yeah. And you know, although it's compact, it's comfortable. I'm not cramped at all. I got lots of leg room.
So I've had to replace a few things on the car. At about the 120,000 mile mark, I had to replace the rear differential bushings, the engine mounts, the drive belt, and the clutch master cylinder. So if you're considering buying a used one, I came up with 3 different price points after looking at cars nationwide. For about $10,000, you'll find examples between 120 and 150,000 miles, and spending $15,000 will get you examples with about 80,000 miles. And then of course, spending a little bit more, like $20,000, will get you examples with about 30,000 miles. If you are considering buying one of these, happy hunting, and we hope you enjoyed this segment. Right, Miles? Miles?